All right, welcome to Be Explainer. Today, we are going to crack the code on a sound that is absolutely crucial for speaking authentic Italian, the open eh. Seriously, if you get this one right, you're going to take a giant leap towards sounding like you know what you're doing. So why does this one little sound matter so much? Let's get right to it. In Italian, is it pesca or is it pesca? Well, one means catch and the other means fishing. This isn't just about having a nice accent, it's about being understood. Getting the sound right is literally the difference between ordering a piece of fruit and telling someone about your hobby. So, what is this sound we're chasing? Well, the open A is the exact same vowel sound you hear in the English word bet. Just think bet, get, let. That eh sound. That's our target. For the rest of this explainer, just keep that sound locked in your mind. To get you there, we've got a clear game plan. First, we'll look at where the sound even comes from. Then, we'll get into the fun part, hacking the code with letter patterns and word endings. After that, we'll hit some special cases, like foreign words and verb tenses. And finally, we'll tackle those tricky but all-important exceptions. Ready to jump in? Let's do it. First step, the Italian E puzzle. You know, to really get a handle on a sound, it helps to know a little about its story. It's not just some random rule, it's actually woven right into the fabric of the language. Believe it or not, our open S sound often comes straight from the short eh in classical Latin. For example, the Latin word for 10, decem, slowly morphed into the Italian dieci, and ferrum, which is Latin for iron, became ferro. So yeah, this sound has been on a journey for centuries. Okay, on to our second section, where we start to see how this all fits together. Cracking the letter code. This is where we stop guessing and start using clear patterns to our advantage. Here is your first big clue, and it's a really reliable one. When you see the letters I and E right next to each other, that IE combination, that E is almost always going to be open. Just listen. Bandiera, ieri, cavaliere. You hear it? That's the eh sound from bet every single time. And here's another great little trick to look out for. When the letter E is immediately followed by another vowel, it also tends to be open. Just look at words like idea or lei. The E is followed by an A or an I, and boom, you get that open S sound. It's another pattern you can count on. All right, let's get to what I think is the most powerful part of this whole explainer, mastering word endings. I'm not kidding, this is the biggest shortcut you can take to get your pronunciation sounding right really fast. I mean, just check out this super common ending, ello or ella. Words you probably already know, like sorella, sister, fratello, brother, and caramella, candy, all share this pattern. And they all have that open S sound. Once you spot this ending, you can be super confident about how to say it. But you knew that was going to be about right. Language loves to keep us on our toes. And stella, the word for star, is a perfect example. While our ello rule works beautifully for sorella, stella breaks it with a closed S sound. This is one of those classic exceptions you just have to memorize. And honestly, knowing it is what really sets you apart. Now, let's look at a whole family of verb-related endings that follow the same pattern. The endo you see in gerunds, like correndo, running, or facendo, doing, is always open. And that pattern extends to related words ending in enda, like agenda, and infinitives ending in endere, like appendere. They're all connected by that same open e root. See how that works? Okay, let's just look at this one word, problema. This is another one of those great patterns. A lot of words ending in emma, many of which come from Greek, almost always take that open eh sound. Problema, teorema, systema. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And it doesn't stop there. Here are a few more really common suffixes that are like little flashing signals for an open eh. Keep an eye out for patterns like ensa in a word like partenza, or ente in accidente. Recognizing these is just another key to cracking the code. Okay, time for section 4. Let's dig into a couple of special categories where the rules are actually incredibly clear and consistent. form words that have been adopted into Italian, and a few specific verb tenses. Now, this is a fantastic rule, especially for English speakers. If you see a word that's clearly been borrowed from another language and it ends in a consonant, which is pretty rare for native Italian words, the E is going to be open. Think hotel, record. The same thing goes for shortened words like café and ente. Super easy to spot, and you'll nail the pronunciation every time. And check this out, an entire verb tense is built around this sound. The conditional tense, what you use to say things like I would, she would, or they would, is completely built on the open e. It doesn't matter if it's vorrei, farebbe, or creerebbero. That open e sound is the constant foundation. It's baked right into the grammar. And here we are, the final boss level, the all-important exceptions. But hey, don't think of these as annoying. Think of them as the final details that show you're truly starting to master the language. This table really helps organize the chaos. So for example, remember our super reliable IE rule? Well, it breaks when you're talking about ethnic suffixes, like Ateniese. And remember how words ending in ente are usually open? Well, adverbs that end in mente almost always flip the script and become closed. Then you've got these super common verbs like vedere and vendere that are just exceptions. You just gotta learn them. And that brings us to this little bit of wisdom. Okay, fine. It's probably not a real Italian proverb, but the sentiment is absolutely perfect, right? Learning the patterns gets you most of the way there, but learning the exceptions is what makes your pronunciation truly shine. So if you remember just one thing from this explainer today, please let it be this. Don't just guess, look for the patterns. Italian pronunciation isn't random, it's a code based on letter combinations, word endings, grammar, and history. Your job is just to be the code breaker. And that's our look at the open A. The ultimate goal isn't just to be technically correct, it's to start to feel the rhythm and the flow of the language. So my final question for you is this. Now that you have the code, can you really start to hear the music? Thanks for watching.